Welcome back to Likras. We are in Parshas Balak. Balak is a non-Jewish king who hires a non-Jewish prophet named Bilam. He's the one we're going to talk about all throughout the Parsha. Today we're going to work on one verse. We're working on a verse, chapter 24, verse 2, Kav Daled Beis. Vayisa Bilam Aseina V'Yaris Yisrael Shochin L'Shvata V'Tiyah Lo Ruach Elokim. Bilam raises his eyes and he looks at Israel, the Jewish people, and they're dwelling to their tribes. And it will be upon him, it was on him, a spirit of God. That's our post. That's our verse we're going to work on. So first, two Rashis. First Rashi says, what's it mean that Bilam raised his eyes? Bilam raised his eyes means Bilam wants to hurt the Jewish people by looking at them and causing them harm because he wants to look at them maliciously. By looking, that's what he's trying to do. And next Rashi, Bilam, what does he see? He sees that the Jewish people are separate. Each tribe is separate. They have their place. And also he sees that the tents are not lined up one opposite the other. They're staggered. So therefore, if I open my door of my tent and you happen to have the door of your tent open, I can't see in to your tent because it's staggered. I see the wall of your tent, and you would see the wall of my tent. If they were lined up and I open my door and you open your door, then I could look in. But the way it's staggered is made so that I'm not looking in. Why does Klaios, or why do the Jewish people want to not look into each other? They want to grant privacy to their neighbor. Their neighbor deserves privacy. They want to grant this privacy by having that the doors are not lined up, so it shouldn't happen by accident to look at one's neighbor. What would be if I look at him? Looking is where a person doesn't belong. It's not appropriate. It's an improper thing to do and can generate ill will, jealousy, bad feelings. No reason to look where one's not meant to look. That's what Klal Yisrael is doing. So Bilam notes this. He sees this. It's not what he's interested in, but that's what he sees is happening. Then the end of the verse. The Maor Vashemesh now leaves Rashi. Rashi discusses the end of the verse. It's the end of the verse is a pronoun, the Tiyah Lov, and it is on him. The on him is a pronoun. It doesn't say exactly in a verse who it's on. Parshas, Rashi learns, it's on Bilam. But the Zohar learns this on him is referring to the Israel nation themselves. That it is on the Jewish people that Hashem puts his Shekhinah, that Hashem, God, is watching over them. They have a special divine protection now, the Jewish people. This is a very nice pshat for the Zohar, a very pro-Jewish idea that Hashem should be lined up with the Jewish people. Question is, why now? Why all of a sudden Bilam's trying to attack them, and now they get a special divine protection now? So, explains Maor Vashemesh, it's really quite simple. Since they're careful, that's what this same verse is emphasizing, they're careful not to look in a negative way, to grant privacy to their friends, to their neighbors, not to look at a negative way. So therefore, when Bilam does want to look at a negative way, it's Mida Keneged Nida. It makes sense that Hashem grants a special, extra divine protection to the Jewish people to protect them from the nasty, negative look that Bilam wants to hurt with his eyes, the Jewish people. So they are granted the special divine protection because they, Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, are working on this and emphasizing the positive and granting that privacy to their neighbors. So that's the message here. There's two ways to do things. You could be nasty like Bilam. You could try to hurt people physically, spiritually, any way you can imagine. Or you could try to be positive. Try to set things up in a way, build your doors in such a way, try not to look where your eyes don't belong. Try not to focus negative energy on your neighbors. It doesn't have to be a motivation for you. And work on the positive. Then we see that it yields a divine protection, it yields a divine response. We do what we're supposed to do, and then we get the extra measure from Hashem, the divine protection. That's the end of the pasuk, as the Maor Vashemesh explains the Zohar on this verse.